3D camera tracking. This is what you will learn in this section. I'm Luai from aeschoolonline.com, and in this section you will learn how to track your video to create a 3D camera that will emulate the video camera or the camera that has been used to shoot the video. This effect is called camera track within the tracker panel. You will start by distinguishing the difference between camera track and motion track, why and when to use the camera track versus the motion track. You will cover the concept of track points and the related tracking target, how to use them to attach different elements such as solids, null object, and text, and how to replace or parent with your own graphics or images. At the end of this section, you will be able to use the camera tracker to attach any element to your video, including videos to videos. See you in the next lecture. Hi guys, and welcome to this new lecture where we are going to discuss the difference between tracking camera and tracking motion. Now, we have used this video before. If you preview it, you notice something very important, that the scenery or the scene is not moving at all. The camera is somehow stable. And then it is only one element here or one object that is moving. So it just makes sense here to use track motion. I will be tracking the motion of this object. It's like having this guy who's shooting a movie and he is not really moving the camera. The camera is on the tripod. It is fixed, is not moving at all. And then inside he can have the boat, for example, moving only. And that is when you use track motion, and it's very important. Let's take the example of the overview. If you play this video, you notice that nothing is moving. Of course, you don't expect the houses to move. What's really moving is the camera. And of course, this is, you know already, this is a drone that's flying over the area. So actually, the camera only is moving and nothing else is moving within the scene itself. In that case, you will use a track camera, and that's very easy to distinguish. For example, if we take our video here, the one we are going to work on, you notice here that let's play it. You notice here that the camera only is moving, and the movement of the camera here is just a zoom in with a pan on the right a bit. So in that case, I could use camera tracking, and that will be much better than using motion tracking because actually nothing is moving here. So in concept, when you have something moving, an element moving within your video and the scenery is not moving at all, like this example, then you will use track motion. But if you have the camera that is moving and no elements, nothing is moving within the video, then you will use track camera, and then you can locate all the points here. In this example, we want to track the camera, the movement on the camera, and adjust other elements such as solid, null layers, and text, and see exactly what happened with the track camera. So please always try to ask yourself the question, shall I use tracking camera or tracking motion? If you're tracking a single element that is moving and the scenery is not moving at all, then you will use track motion. If your scenery is moving and the elements inside are not moving at all, then you will use track camera. Now, it could be that both of them are moving, the camera is panning, and there are some elements that are moving within the video. Then you can decide here which one will be more feasible for you. And by studying track camera, you will notice the difference between track camera and track motion, and you will be able to decide even better which one to use. Thanks very much for listening. I will see you in the next lecture. Hi guys, and let's look at what is track camera. First of all, track camera is an effect. And when applied to a video layer, you can apply it to other kind of layers, but it will not work very fine. So when applied to a video layer, it will create a camera that emulates the movement and the zoom of the camera that has been used to shoot your video. For example, here, if we track this video, we'll come here and find out that we have a 3D camera that has been created and it's emulating exactly the camera that has been used to shoot that video. If you look under the keyframes, you will find out that After Effects has created tons of keyframes to emulate the position, the orientation, and the zoom. If you come to your custom view, you can see your camera and you can see the movement of your camera. And of course, you can see the other layers. The video layers is not appearing here. So most importantly, you can see your camera and how is it moving. So that is the camera tracker. It will track the movement of the original camera that has been used to shoot the movie and create a camera that will emulate the movement of the original camera. It's as simple as this. And you don't need to come and change here anything. It's just set for you. You can just start working on your video and attaching certain element, which we will see in the next lecture. Hi guys, and welcome to this new lecture about track camera or 3D camera tracking, or camera tracking, any way you want to call it is okay. And this is Loai with you. If you remember me, I've been in this course since the beginning, in fact. So we want to start applying the effect of track camera. Now notice what I said, it's an effect. It's not like track motion. So the method is like this. You apply the track camera, it will analyze the video, then solve the camera, then create for you some track points all over the place according to what it estimates is the movement of a 3D camera that has taken the shot of your video. Like we said, it's emulating the camera of the video. And after that, you can attach elements to the track points. So this is the method, and it's pretty easy and very non-complicated until you start attaching things and they appear differently. We select our layer and we click track camera. Immediately you start analyzing in the background. You can do other things, but the only thing you will be doing is just slowing your computer. Now notice here it's initializing, and that's pretty interesting. First, it has to initialize, understand your video, and then create the camera. Now it took by default the shot type fixed angle. I will not change that, I'll just open it. It has fixed angle, variable zoom, and you can specify your own angle. And then show track point, the 3D ones. So the only really important default that it has taken is fixed angle of view. Now notice how it is tracking. It is tracking or analyzing the video if you want, you know, frame by frame, all the frames. So if you have a video of 2 hours, it's gonna take a long time. So this our video is 6 seconds and something. It's not so long. The time remaining is 7 seconds and it's going again frame by frame. When it will finish here, it will start solving the camera. And then after finishing from solving the camera, it will give us the track point. Let's wait and see. Now it has finished initializing and solving the camera. And it gives us, if we click on the effect, you will see the track point. Now I'll not only see the track points, these small X's, I will zoom in fact this video zooms in. These small X's here are the track points, and there are very many. Now I want you to notice something important here. First of all, on this side there are very few or none track points. We're going to change that. The most important thing, if you go to advanced and the solve method is auto detect, you can change this. If I choose an option here, it solves the camera immediately. You have typical, mostly flat scene, and tripod pan. Tripod pan meaning there is panning and the scene is moving, and that's the best for tracking camera. You want to figure out if the camera is panning left, right, up, down, whatever, and if it's fixed on the tripod and without having much of the zoom. So you will use tripod pan. Also, another important aspect is the average error. You see the average error here is 0.45 pixels, and that means the error here between finding the right position for this track point is 0.5 pixels, half a pixel almost. If this is growing with you, it's coming to 5, 6, it means, you know, the tracking is totally bad. Don't use the tracking here. It's gonna move all around the place. Actually, I rarely find it above, I don't know, 2. With very bad videos, maybe 1 something. Okay, cool. And you have the detailed analysis and so on. This is very nice, but not extremely useful. This is what you want to focus on, the average error. Cool. Now what we have, notice it did not create any camera. It's waiting for me to create the camera here. Or what I can do is to come to a plan. I will explain that later on. Right click and say create text and camera, or create solid and camera, so on. So it will create something here, text, solid, null, or a shadow if you want with the camera, or I can come and create the camera here. Let's click and create the camera. Immediately and very fast, a camera has been created because it already analyzed everything. If I press U and get the keyframes, notice I have a position and orientation only. If you go back to our effect, we notice that we used fixed angle view. Now, if I want to use the zoom, what I will do is to go back and say variable zoom. As soon as I click, it will solve again. Here it is, it's solving the camera again, but it's not initializing, just solving the camera, and it will stop there. It's up to me to add the camera or not. You can have 2-3 cameras by using this method, changing the variable zoom, but it will be totally useless, of course. You know, you can use only one camera, the active camera, or if you like, the 3D tracker camera. Cool, I'm waiting for it to solve. It has finished. I can come and create a new camera. Don't do that. That is somehow useless because you can choose only one camera, and here I have 2 of them. That it's becoming, you know, confusing. But what I want to show you is when I press U, I have the zoom here, which I didn't have in the first camera. Let's delete the first camera because we want the zoom, and you will see the effect of the zoom is very good. But I really don't want to use the zoom here. Let's zoom out on the movie, click on our, and notice here you have very many track points that I could use. Without the zoom, these track points did not appear. Now, don't take it as general rule that the variable zoom will give me better track points. That's not true. It depends a lot on the video you are tracking. Now, let's go to the beginning, to the end, in fact, and look at these track points. They are very big. What I can do is to reduce their size. Of course, you want to reduce their size according to where your timeline indicator is, you know, depending on the position of the video. If I come to the beginning, I can't see them anymore. Cool, let's go in the middle here. And also you have this circle that is appearing. This circle, as you can see, it is determining the plan in which you are going to create a solid, like we said, or text or null, which we will see in the next lecture. Thanks for listening, and in the next lecture what we are going to do is to create some solids and replace the windows here. I'll see you in the next lecture. So now that we have our track points, what we want to do is to attach a solid, text, or whatever we want. Now, null has its own objective, and I will show you it's similar to having a solid. But you cannot just attach an image. You attach a solid, and later on you replace that solid with an image, or a PNG, or, you know, a whole video, another video if you would like. I will show you how, of course. Or you can just attach text. Now, what is happening exactly? Let's zoom in here. If you look at this circle, it's called the target, and you can make the size bigger. Notice it's becoming bigger, and it depends also how far is the track point from your scene or coming to the front of the camera here. If you bring it here, it's becoming very huge, and maybe I will need to reduce it if I want to work here. Or if I'm working far, depending on the camera, the 3D camera tracker, then it's okay to leave it this size. But notice what's happening. Look at it, how it is changing shapes. If you come over here, for example, it has located 3 track points. You can see them. Okay, I will zoom in a bit so you can see them even better. It has located 3 track points. Here you are. And these 3 track points are at different distance on the z-axis, and they constitute a plan in which you are going to put a solid or a null layer. Let's say a solid. But notice the solid will come exactly in the shape or in the plan of the target. This is the target. Let's try it. If I right click here, I say create solid. Look what happens. The solid is in the plan of the 3 points I have chosen here, automatically chosen. And then a solid layer is created here. If you go back in your video, you notice the solid layer. Let's zoom out. The solid layer will be moving totally. I need to deselect. Will be moving. Please notice here, it's moving with the clouds. It's not moving with the house. And notice how it's going very far. We can change the solid layer color. Solid setting, for example, let's make it black. Black will do here. We can see it on black. Cool. Let's deselect F2. And notice how your solid layer is like attached within the video, and it's attached in this plan. Now it seems to you that it's really in the clouds, and when you zoom in, or the video is zooming in, okay, you notice that now it's in front because the track points disappeared. So this is something you need really to work with. I'm sorry, this is very small, but it gives you the point. So at this stage here, everything was cool with my track points, but when I came inside here, the track points are behind now, and this is not very useful, so we'll delete it. Cool. Let's take back our video and look at the track points that we can put here. First of all, let me look at something I like. I will make this one, the target size, a bit smaller because I want to replace the window. So this seems cool. In fact, they are all cool. Notice they are in the plan. They look parallel to the wall here. Okay, you're just trying. It is not something that you can say, oh, wow, it's going to work. You need to try. Some videos you will try for hours. Some videos you will try, for 2 minutes it works. This seems good to you, but notice the track points might disappear. So what you want to do is to check all your track points if you can, and decide, okay, which track points are still inside. So my best bet is the one inside the window here. So I will choose, for example, this one. I right click and say create solid. So this is my solid that has been created. A solid layer has been created. So solid is big, of course, I can move it. It's a 3D. By the way, your video here is not 3D. Don't ever put it to 3D. Things will go very wrong. But your layer is 3D. And of course, it's following the camera, and that's the clever thing. So your video actually is a 2D video that you put there, and then you start attaching a camera, or analyzing it through a camera, and then attaching a solid layer that will follow the camera, and that's the cool thing about it. Now let's test this one. Let's go to 100%, or let's go to fit here. In our case, fine. I'll go back to the beginning, and notice how my layer is moving. Let's deselect the layer. Is my layer moving according to the tower? I think it's pretty good, not bad. It looks a bit distorted, but we will solve that problem. So now I attached a layer that I can work with and replace with a window. If I go to my project here, I have a window in the asset here. I have a window here. It's not cool, it's not bad, but it's okay. You notice the black here. Okay, I don't want to give you a perfect example. I want to show you the problems that you will get. And notice what's happening here. There is some kind of border that's not good. So what would I do? I created a composition, and this is my composition here. And inside this composition, I created a mask for only what I need to use. And that's cool with me. Okay, so the other side, the black one, will never appear because it's masked, so it's transparent. Cool. So I have the window inside a pre-comp, and in this comp I already mask whatever I need. Let's go back to my old house here. Click on the layer. So we select the layer, hold Alt and drag the comp on top of the solid layer. It's gonna replace it. Wow. Now I have the window here. Let's test it. Okay, that seems good. Not bad, but of course it's very big. What can I do in this case? All I have to do is to make it smaller. Now I'm using the shift just to make it fit. That's pretty cool. Let us zoom in. Is it fitting nicely? And we can do it like this. Okay, it's fitting. Not bad. I can also rotate it. I press W. Rotate it just a tiny bit, I think, on the X's, just to straighten it up. Okay, fine. On the Y, a tiny bit, not really. Something like this. Of course, every time I do it, I have a different result. I need to take it down a bit. Okay, fine. Now it's not really fitting 100% of the window. If you scrub through, you notice like it's not fitting. Well, there is something you can do here. I will come to preset and effects and look for an effect that is called corner pin. Corner pin. Okay, I have it here. I'll take the corner pin and just drop it on the comp or the layer if you like. Now, if you look at the corner pin here, you will find out that it has 4 corners, and here are the corners. If I click on a corner, you notice how it's moving somehow in a plan, the same plan I have, but I can really manipulate the layer the way I want. Maybe we want to move it a bit here. We want to move the layer a bit here. Cool. Go back to the corner pin and lower pin here and drag it and put it on the track here. It looks good, not bad, fine. We can also go back here and adjust this one. Fine. Okay, it's not bad, but it's good for the course here. Of course, I will tweak it for 1 hour if I were making a good project. You know, I'm making money out of it. Of course, I will tweak it for 3 hours to make the utmost. Now, let's go back to 100% and see exactly how it works. Go to the beginning and we are going to preview and see if our window is really stuck to the tower. So you look at it, it's not bad at all. It's really stuck. We are not still on 100% of rendering time, but we see it is stuck and is doing quite a good job. Of course, by the end of the video, let's run it again, but we need to see it from the beginning. Well, it's doing a good job. So this is the way we have done it. It's very easy. You choose your track points. If you come to your video, you choose the track points. Here, you choose the plan that you want. You put a solid layer. If you want to use a solid layer, fine, that's great. You could have put a null layer. I will do that in the next lecture. And then after adjusting the solid layer as much as you can, you bring the pre-comp or you bring the other image that you want and just you replace it, and here you are, you have it completely stuck or attached to your track. Thanks very much for listening. In the next lecture we are going to do the other window using the null layer. I'll see you then. Okay guys, thanks for being with me again, and this is Loai. And in this lecture we are going to use the null layer to attach another window on this side. So the first thing we can do is to come to our house, come to the FX and click on the camera tracker to see it. We press alternate and mouse scroll and we can see here we have very few points. Cool, let's choose a plan. If you don't like the plans that it's giving you, can just select your points and you have a new plan, for example. Or in this case I can use this one, but this one is on the border here. I guess it will work. Let's go and create a null. So I right click and create the null. This is my null. Fine, I will come to project and put down the composition that contains the glass. Cool, and I can open scale and scale it down. Let's zoom at 100%. Can scale it down as much as possible. Now I need to link it to the 3D layer. Of course, we have to make it a 3D. We can still see it. If you don't see it, sometimes you have to fiddle here and it will appear. I want to link it to the track null one. What I will do, if you click on the pick whip and you start dragging, it will tell you over here, read over here, hold shift to move layer to location of parent, and the parent is the track. So I press shift and it will move it to the track null position. Here you are, it's over there. Of course, it has zoomed in. I can make it smaller now. Also, I prefer to use scale from here, make it smaller. Cool, here it is. Let's zoom in if you would like, and we can adjust it at this point. But before we adjust it, let's see if it has worked clearly at 100% here. Let's see if it is moving with the null layer. It seems it's moving very well. Now, when to use the null layer? When you have several objects. If you notice, it's easier to use the solid layer when you are using pre-comps or you are using images. If you want to attach several objects, the effect of the track null is very important and you can attach them all together. Here we have a single object for the sake of the course. Cool, so now I have it set. I can come and start adjusting it. For example, the first thing I want to do is to stop the video, just position it nicely. Cool. You have two options here. I mentioned one of them. If you come to effect and preset, you have the corner pin, but also you have another option, which is the Bezier warp, that will help you a lot. But this one, if it will give you so many points around, you can come and try it yourself. Now I'm gonna do only corner pin. Here I will take the corner pin and just drop it on the window. It's over there. I can adjust it the way I want. Fine. Let's be a bit more meticulous here. You can use the XYZ axis to be able to, adjust it at 100%. For example, here I can turn it on its X axis if I press W, and I can turn it so to adjust it to the plan the way I would want to. That's okay. I can use the X to also rotate it up and down, or even to move it on the left or right, the way you want. I will use now the corner pin to adjust it the way I would like to. Okay, we're not gonna be meticulous so you don't get bored here, but you get the picture how to adjust it, Here you are. Okay, that's not very good, like this. I guess this is okay. Cool. Now you can come and adjust the other layer. If you press W, you can rotate it a bit, so it becomes, 100% perfect. Good. Now we have our two windows. Let's test them. They're moving with the plan. And here you are, you have a very nice animation. If you go back to fit at 100% and preview, you will have it working and the windows are attached and you have brand new windows. You can change all kinds of windows. Fine. Thanks very much for listening. And it's up to you to decide if you want to use the null layer. I will say if you want to use the null, then have 3-4 objects that you want to attach or to parent. If you want to use the solid layer, it's also very convenient. You can do a pre-comp, put them all together, and then, just replace the solid layer using the Alt and drag and drop. And here we are, we have our two windows, brand new windows. Now we can ask for more rent from these people. Thank you very much for listening. And in the next lecture, we are going to learn how to attach some text. See you then. The last attachment that you can do is attaching text. So what I will do, I will select your video, of course, come to the 3D tracker, and let's zoom in on the tower here. Press alternate and zoom in. And let's decide on the 3 points. For example, these are cool. Okay, I prefer this one, this one. Let's choose these 3. For example, it can work. We right click. Notice we're saying create 4 text layer. It means I've chosen 4 of them. Here, create 3 text layers or create a text layer. So you have the choice. If you say create 3 text layer, in fact, it's going to create a text layer for each point or on each point. For now, let's say create text only. And notice your text is very big, but it's already connected and there is not much to do but to adjust it the way you would like. Fine, I will take my selection tool, go to my text and make it smaller, obviously. First of all, I will double click on the text and say old house and make it even smaller. That's small enough. I will zoom in, I press alternate, zoom in, and now I can move it. I'll just move it around. So over here, I can press W and start rotating it on the Y-axis, for example. Cool. And I can rotate a bit on the Z-axis. That's not bad. Let's also press V and then move it here. Cool. Let's play a bit. We come to layer. We say layer style. And we put drop shadow. Just a small drop shadow here. But I want it a bit more, narrow. So the size, we make the size smaller, yeah, like this. Cool, so it gives it a 3D look somehow. Okay, just here. Now I would suggest that with the Z layer, we bring it towards the wall. Okay, then the X layer, we bring it here. I don't want to bore you with adjustment, but you get the picture how it works. It's so easy. By the way, I know that people show off on you, telling you, oh, I did 3D and so on, but actually it's extremely easy. Let's go to the preview and run a ramp preview, or in this case, we are in CC 2015, it's a play. Here you are, it's working very fine with us. You can come and change the colors and so on. Let me show you how to add 3 text or 4 text at the same time. We go back and select our video here. And of course, this method, you can use it for other layers like solid layers and null objects. Cool, let's choose 3 points. So I'll choose this point and this point. And this point, it says create 3 text layer. Cool, I will create them. You have 1, 2, and 3. Here you are. Let's zoom in and notice how small they are. I will come to the character here and just make them bigger, just for you to see. Okay, fine. The top one, the number 1, is very high. We can just drag it down. That's 1, 2, and 3. So notice what it has done. It has collected your 3 points and added a text on the 3 points. Of course, it could have come and, you could have used it and select 3 layers, and I can create, 3 solids or 3 nulls. Cool. So now you have your text. You can come here and start changing the text. Let's say this is text 3, and fiddling with it, adjusting it the way you would like on the Y-axis or the Z-axis, whatever you want, and it will look great. Okay. If we come to V and put it over here, and you can do the rest, of course, by your own. So I will delete the 3 layers, and I want you to have these ones, and then you can come add any text layer that you want. You have noticed how simple is camera tracking. And remember, Tracking the camera is different than motion tracking. In this case, I have only the camera in the video that's moving and I can track it. I can put and attach a lot of things like solid layers, like null layers and text. You have seen how to do it. Thanks very much for listening. I will see you in the next lecture with a new topic about camera tracking. Let's look at some of the problems you might encounter while doing camera track. The first problem is like this. If I take my video here and just scale it a bit and come to the effect itself, it's giving me an error message. The 3D camera tracker layer size must match composition size and use default transform values. The default transform values are the size of the video and the size of the composition, so you cannot change this one. So when you get this error message, do not panic. Nothing is lost. All you have to do is to come to transform and say reset, and here you are. It will work very fine now. Everything is okay. So be careful from these transformations. Not only the scale, the rotation also will make some problems to you. You can try it. That's one problem. The second and most important problem that you will notice will happen if you're not careful about the workflow, how to go about it. Let's choose our video layer. Let's go to our effects here and let's zoom in and say, okay, fine. I want to add another window here, or I want to add a null layer. So I will right click and say create null. So I have my null layer here and it is this null. Fine. Let's press enter and call it bad null. Okay, so we know which one is it. Cool. So actually the null is not the bad one. Then I will come to my project and say window glass, put it here. All right, it's very big. We can make it 3D. You make it small like this. You zoom in, you bring it next to the null. Then, okay, fine. You say now it's right above the null and it's working very fine. All I have to do now is to parent it. And I'll take it like this and I'll parent it. Very fine. Then when you move it, like it has nothing to do with the null layer, you notice what's happening. You need to use the shift, press on the pick whip and then parent it. Now the size has changed again. So maybe you should have done this from the beginning like I have done. And now they are really connected. Without the shift, this thing will not work and you will have it in some other dimension somewhere else. I hope these two tips were useful for you. It is not like I'm going to tell you all the bad tips that can happen here, all the wrong things that can happen. I really don't know all of them also, but it is important to mention that you might have some errors because of workflow, because of certain manipulation of the original layer or something like this. So don't be scared, just try to find out which one is the right techniques or which one is the right method, and everything will be fine. Thanks very much for listening. I will see you in the next lecture. Hi guys, and welcome to this practice activity for track camera. It's pretty easy and pretty simple, yet it's a bit challenging. You are going to have some issues or some problems with tracking the camera, and I want you to resolve them. This is why I'm giving you such an easy job. Now we have here a very simple video that is a camera pan up and down. Okay, the original video could be around 16 seconds. It's quite beautiful, but I just took this piece. You can download this video from Pixabay, the whole length if you want, and work on it. Fine, so we have this video, and what we want to do is to change the scenery here. We don't like what's appearing on the window. We want to replace it with a nice footage here, this boat going on, and when the guy is showering here, is sitting, you can see a beautiful scenery of the sea. Okay, fine. So what you want to do is to make it look like this. Okay, so now here you are. It's much nicer and much more beautiful. Now there are some challenges you will face, and I hope you will resolve them. And I will see you in the next lecture where I will show you how to do this job. This is very easy. Please start with simple things. Don't go to YouTube and start extraordinary things. It will mess you up. Always start with simple things so you can later on develop your skills and become, much more conversant in the track camera. See you in the next lecture. Welcome to this tutorial and the challenge. In the challenge, I asked you to use this video to replace the window here by another video, which is this one. Now, replacing with a video is the same as using a pre-composition you put a solid and you will replace. Now let's see the problems that we will have with this video. First of all, always take the habit to drag and drop to create your composition, because now everything is in scale. The comp is the same size as the video and you don't have any problems. I will start track camera. Click on it, it will start analyzing. This is a short video of 6 seconds. Also, it's a simple one, but you will be amazed how many errors we're gonna have. I hope you worked on it. I hope you found the errors, and I hope you asked me a lot of questions. Notice already finishing. Pretty speedy this time. It has taken fixed angle of view, and if you look at the advanced here, it has taken auto detect. Fine. It is solving the camera now. We give it some time. I'll get back to you. Oh, it's already done. Now, notice as soon as I pointed, I have a message that says no depth from a tripod pan solve. So actually, it didn't take it as a tripod pan. It just took it as a normal camera, and it's not really working very fine with us here. We don't want to see the errors. So what is this error here? You can figure it out. It's no big deal. You can find documentation about it, but it means there is no depth, there is no zoom, and it cannot resolve how the camera is moving, mainly on these spots where there is only the wall. Fine. How do you solve this problem? Let's go to auto detect, and we take mostly flat scene, and actually this is a flat scene. We click and it will solve the camera again, and let's see the results that will appear. Now it has finished this point, and it seems that the error message has disappeared, or in fact it's not an error, or it's just an indication that we didn't have depth. So here we are quite cool. We have our plans here, we can work with them and so on. Let's press alternate and zoom in, and adding a video here is just like adding a solid layer and replacing the solid layer. That's very simple. Let's make the target size a bit bigger, and notice what's happening. We need it even bigger. And here you are. So I need something extremely flat for the window. This seems quite okay. You can choose anything else you want, no problem. And I will right click and say create solid and camera at the same time. So really typically this is how you will work after you have understood everything. Now the first thing I want to do is to go back to zoom and preview and see exactly is this solid is really working for this kind of tracking. It seems it's okay. It's moving very nicely with the window. Okay, I don't know if it's moving with the background or the flat window, but of course it's moving with the background. Cool. So that's not bad at all. What we can do is immediately come to our sailing movie here and press alternate, or choose our layer, press alt, and just drop it in. Here we have our movie just over here. So that's pretty small now. We need to scale it and work on it. Okay, that's one way to work. You could have done it even better. I will scale it up, press shift, try to scale it up. Okay, it's not working. So I need to adjust it. That's not bad like this. Cool. So of course I need now to get corner pin and put it in and see exactly how I can fit it. If it fits nicely. It's done here. And here is okay. I have some white here, try to fix it. Now we're not doing an extremely pro job and stories like this. You have to be a bit it's okay. If I were doing a professional project, these will not be allowed. And notice how the light is coming. But for the purpose of doing an exercise on camera tracking, this will do. Fine. So I put my layer there, and I have now one movie in another. I remove the sound and then come to preview. And preview, see exactly what is happening. Well, actually it seems it's working fine. Notice there is some white that is appearing here, and I really don't like the light here, but it's okay. It's working for the purpose of an exercise. Now, how did you benefit from this exercise? First, you notice that sometimes you have to use the advanced option here and find out, okay, which one can I use to remove the messages if there are any. Also, instead of using mostly flat scene, you could have used also variable zoom. At your free time, please try tripod pan or typical and see the results that you will get. I hope this challenge was useful for you. I know it's simple. It's important that you start with simple things, understand really how it's working, how the corner pin can be useful to you, and try to do as many as simple things possible before you go to complicated and things that where you need to use maybe a Bezier warp or something like this. Cool. Thanks very much for listening. I'll see you in the next lecture.